All right, hello, it's me, Mike, with HPDS. I'm going to go ahead and go through a Genesis 27 study today, in this particular video. So before I do, I'm going to go ahead and say the Lord's Prayer as I normally do. So, our Father who is in heaven, hallowed be thy name. May your kingdom come. May your will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Please give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us of our debt, as we forgive those in debt to us. And Lord, lead us not into temptation, but instead deliver us from the evil one. For yours is the kingdom of power and glory, Lord, forever and ever. Amen. All right, so as I said, chapter 27 is the study and focus of this video. So let me go ahead and see what I got on chapter 27. It's a pretty decent sized chapter, and we're going to see that Isaac sends Esau for venison. We're going to see Rebekah and Jacob conspire to obtain Isaac's blessing. Then we're going to see that Esau brings venison to his father. And then we're going to see that Esau threatens to kill Jacob afterwards. So we're going to see here that just like back in the days with Noah, when Noah cursed Canaan for something that Ham did, here we're going to have that these guys know, these twins over here, Esau and Jacob, who are the twin sons of Isaac. And we were reading about Isaac back in chapter 26, so we see just a quick chapter about 26 here about Isaac, where he goes through his thing with Abimelech as well. But here in this chapter, we're gonna see the sons. Isaac's already pretty old at this point. Isaac's gonna be old, and we'll pay attention to see how long he lives and what happens to his children, and obviously we'll see which son is going to actually take the promise, because we did see that in a few chapters earlier. Esau sold his birthright to Jacob, remember, for a little bit of stew, just a little bit of stew. Yeah, we saw that in chapter 25. We did see that at the end of chapter 25. But I'll go ahead and get into chapter 27 now. And let me take a look. All right. And it came to pass that when Isaac was old, and his eyes were dim, so that he could not see, he called Esau, his eldest son, and said unto him, My son. And he said unto him, Behold, here I am, or here am I. And he said, Behold, now I am old. I know not the day of my death. Now therefore take, I pray thee, thy weapons, thy quiver, and thy bow, and go out to the field, and take me some venison, and make me savory meat, such as I love, and bring it to me, that I may eat, that my soul may bless thee before I die. And Rebekah heard when Isaac spake to Esau his son, and Esau went to the field to hunt for venison, and to bring it. And Rebekah spake unto Jacob, her saying, Behold, I heard thy father speak unto Esau thy brother, saying, Bring me venison, and make me savory meat, that I may eat, and bless thee before the Lord before my death. Now therefore, my son, obey my voice according to which I command thee. Go now to the flock, and fetch me from thence 2 good kids of the goats, and I will make them savory meat for thy father, such as he loveth. And thou shalt bring it to thy father, that he may eat, and that he may bless thee before his death. And Jacob said to Rebekah his mother, Behold, Esau my brother is a hairy man, and I am a smooth man. My father peradventure will feel me, and I shall seem to him as a deceiver, and I shall bring a curse upon me, and not a blessing. And his mother said unto him, Be me thy curse, Upon me be thy curse, my son. Only obey my voice, and go fetch me them. And he went and fetched and brought them to his mother. And his mother made savory meat, such as his father loved. And Rebekah took goodly raiment of her eldest son Esau, which were with her in the house, and put them upon Jacob, her younger son. And she put the skins of the goats, she put the skins of the kids of the goats upon his hands, and upon the smooth of his neck. And she gave the savory meat and the bread which she had prepared into the hand of her son Jacob. And he came unto his father and said, My father. And he said, Here I am. Who art thou, my son? And Jacob said unto his father, I am Esau, thy firstborn. I have done according as thou badest me. Arise, I pray thee, sit and eat of my venison, that thy soul may bless me. And Isaac said unto his son, How is it that thou hast found it so quickly, my son? And he said, Because the Lord thy God brought it to me. And Isaac said unto Jacob, Come near, I pray thee, that I may feel thee, my son, whether thou be my very son Esau or not. And Jacob went near unto Isaac his father, and he felt him, and said, The voice is Jacob's voice, but the hands are the hands of Esau. And he discerned him not, because his hands were hairy, as his brother Esau's hands. So he blessed him, and he said, Art thou my very son Esau? And he said, I am. And he said, Bring it near to me, and I will eat of my son's venison, that my soul may bless thee. And he brought it near to him, and he did eat, and he brought him wine, and he drank. And his father Isaac said unto him, Come near now, and kiss me, my son. And he came near, and kissed him. And he smelled the smell of his raiment, and blessed him, and said, See, the smell of my son is as the smell of a field, which the Lord hath blessed. Therefore give thee of the dew of heaven, and the fatness of the earth, and plenty of corn and wine. Let people serve thee, and nations bow down to thee. Be Lord over thy brethren, and let thy mother's sons bow down to thee. Cursed be every one that curseth thee, and blessed be he that blesseth thee. And it came to pass, as soon as Isaac had made an end of blessing Jacob, and Jacob was yet scarce gone out of the presence of Isaac his father, that Esau his brother came in from his hunting. And he also had made savory meat, and brought it unto his father, and said unto his father, Let my father arise, and eat of his son's venison, that thy soul may bless me. And Isaac his father said unto him, Who art thou? And he said, I am thy son, thy firstborn Esau. And Isaac trembled very exceedingly, and said, Who? Where is he that hath taken venison, and brought it me? And I have eaten all before thou camest, and have blessed him. Yea, and he shall be blessed. And when Esau heard the words of his father, he cried with a great and exceeding bitter cry, and said unto his father, Bless me, even me also, O my father. And he said, Thy brother came with subtlety, and hath taken away thy blessing. And he said, Is not he rightly named Jacob? For he had supplanted me these 2 times. He took away my birthright, and behold, now he hath taken away my blessing. And he said, Hast thou not reserved a blessing for me? And Isaac answered and said unto Esau, Behold, I have made him thy lord, and all his brethren have I given to him for servants. And with corn and wine have I sustained him. And what shall I do now unto thee, my son? And Esau said unto his father, Hast thou but one blessing, my father? Bless me, even me also, O my father. And Esau lifted up his voice and wept. And Isaac his father answered and said unto him, Behold, thy dwelling shall be the fatness of the earth, and of the dew of heaven from above. And by thy sword shalt thou live, and shalt serve thy brother. And it shall come to pass, when thou shalt have the dominion, that thou shalt break his yoke from off thy neck. And Esau hated Jacob because of the blessing wherewith his father blessed him. And Esau said in his heart, The days of mourning for my father are at hand. Then will I slay my brother Jacob. And these words of Esau, her elder son, were told to Rebekah. And she sent and called Jacob her younger son, and said unto him, Behold, thy brother Esau, as touching thee, doth comfort himself, purposing to kill thee. Now therefore, my son, obey my voice, and arise. Flee thou to Laban, my brother, to Haran, and tarry with him a few days, until thy brother's fury turn away, until thy brother's anger turn away from thee, and he forget that which thou hast done to him. Then I will send and fetch thee from thence. Why should I be deprived also of you both in one day? And Rebekah said to Isaac, I am weary of my life because of the daughters of Heth. If Jacob take a wife of the daughters of Heth, such as these which are the daughters of the land, what good shall my life do to me? will my life do me? All right. And that's Genesis 27. And what's gonna happen is we're seeing we're seeing this kind of repetition going on. It's a repetition. The story is repeating itself, and it goes. Uh, what's going on here? There's a blessing going on. So there's something about blessings and curses that, I mean, if you're aware of how they work, and you're with God and God is with you, I mean, those that you bless will bless you, and those that you curse will curse you. That's what this is, a promise that we're gonna see come across these chosen people that God chose. But it seems to be that their words are very important. Whatever they say, it's like not like today's world, for example. In today's world, people, I mean, they say all kinds of words. They say anything for a joke, for laughing. People talk, 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 talk. They just talk for the sake of talking. If you go out into the real world and notice, hold on just a moment. But and that's what's called like idle speak, idle talk, where you're idle, like IDLE, like a vehicle in idle. Well, people talk idly. They just say things. They talk about, oh, I wish I had $1,000,000. If I had $1,000,000, I'd do this, I'd do that, and so forth. And then it never happens. That's idle talk. That's ungodly. That's what we're seeing here, is that whatever these guys said, I mean, it went. That's what went down. That was the thing. And so that's why we see that at the very beginning. Let me go ahead and move into this, and we'll get through it. So, and it came to pass that, let's see, that when Isaac was old, so Isaac is already old, we're seeing here, and he's already going blind, and then he's got, remember, the two sons we got were Esau and Jacob, and if we remember from Genesis, I believe it was 25, but we already got a prophecy about them, where one was gonna or I think it was Rebekah that was given the prophecy that she was gonna have two nations in her, and one people shall be stronger. So this is Genesis 25, and I'm looking at Genesis 25:22. Yeah, Genesis 25:22. So let me go ahead and take a look here. 25, we got, and the first came out red. Oh no, this is 22. And the children struggled within her. And the Lord said, two nations are in thy womb, and two manner of people. And the one people shall be stronger than the other people, and the elder shall serve the younger. So you see, Rebekah was given this kind of prophecy a while back when she went and talked to God. And then we remember that same chapter, we see that Esau doesn't even really care about his birthright. What is that birthright? And that birthright is basically going to be that what God is bestowing upon them, that he's going to inherit that seed. Many people are going to come from you. Many nations are going to come from you. Kings are going to come from you. And that was the promise given to Abraham. And basically, Abraham was giving it to, his son, who was, was Isaac over here. And Isaac had two sons now. So now there wasn't, and they were twins, never mind being one after another, or issues of legitimacy, because that's what we saw with Isaac, was that there was issues because Ishmael was born first, if you think about it. But Ishmael came from Hagar, who was technically just a concubine, just like the other people out in the world were doing. I'm really super thirsty. And so that's what we're getting here, is that there's no issues with legitimacy. They're twins, but technically Esau came out first, and so technically he's got that birthright, in that it's his seed that these kings and nations are going to come from. But I mean, he sold that, even so he really didn't even care about this prophecy that was going around in his family. So his family was talking about it clearly. His family, Abraham must have told them, oh, he would have told Isaac, and Isaac would have told them. Isaac would have, I mean, they're still at this point, you got to keep in mind, that they're still going through circumcision. They're still circumcising. And that was part of their covenant with God, that they had to uphold that portion of the bargain, which was to circumcise themselves and be circumcised at 8 days old. Remember, so all these guys were circumcised, and you better believe that that's something that the circumcision would be. That's what they're talking about. Well, why are we all circumcised, Dad? Why would we do that? Well, let me tell you, son. Your father, Abraham, and God came to Abraham and so forth. And then even Isaac in chapter 26, we saw that the Lord appears to he goes to Isaac and he appears to Isaac right here. And you see there right here, he showed up to Isaac. Isaac had seen him as well. So it isn't just Abraham that had seen him. Isaac had seen him as well. And it was something about him that clearly whatever figure they were coming across God, and he was showing and proving himself to be absolutely incredible and just, not like any human out there. He is not like a human. He's probably a bright creature. He's probably got a lot of light around him. That's what it's kind of saying. We would think of it like as a ghost or something, but he is something altogether, whatever he chooses to be, and he apparently is choosing to be a big, something intense and big. He's very powerful. But so of course that's what we're getting here. So the thing about it is that if Esau didn't even care about these prophecies and didn't really seem to be so enthusiastic, so believing of these prophecies, he wouldn't have sold his birthright. If he would have been so believing in, and that's what he's kind of going on here, is that it's about the word. It's about what they say and what they do, because these guys are going to be the fathers of kings, and kings aren't, they're not supposed to be like regular people. They're not supposed to be liars and thieves. They're not supposed to be criminals. They're supposed to be just and righteous. They are the leaders, and they're going to be held to a higher standard, is what God is beginning to show right here. And he does say it later. We will see that people that are held in greater stature are going to have they're going to be held to a higher degree. That's just what it is. They're going to be held accountable for what they do over how many people they do it over. And so Esau right here is not the kind of guy to be taking words too light. I mean, prophecy, at least. So far it's prophecy. He's not taking prophecy so serious when he sold his birthright. But here he is. He goes and, he comes, Isaac calls him over. Isaac's old and he's doing his thing. And he tells him, I'm old. I don't know when I'm going to die. So now before you go, now that's why, I don't know when I'm going to die. So I got to do this now, is what he's saying. He's talking about, he's getting old, and he's trying to give him his inheritance, the inheritance. And he says, take your, I pray, just go do me a favor. Go get your bow and arrow, go out and get me some venison. And I guess venison is like some sort of a deer or something, it's some sort of wild game like that. It was, he goes out, and so that's what he does, and cook it for me like I love it. You know how I love it. You know how I eat it. And I'm going to eat it, and then I'm going to bless your soul, that my soul may bless thee before I die. So that's what he's basically telling. I'm going to give you your inheritance from God. What God is, I'm going to give you my blessing, and my blessing is going to be a perfect, righteous prophecy about you. That's what he's saying. Just like the blessing was with Noah, the curse was with Noah, and the blessing that came out of Noah. And remember that he cursed Canaan, which is Ham's son, right? He says, cursed will be Canaan. He'll be the servants of his brothers. And he says that, but I bless Japheth. Japheth will be enlarged, we find out that the Gentiles come from Japheth. And he says, and they will dwell in the tents of Shem. And this is the line of Shem that we're looking at. Isaac through Abraham, then Isaac, and now we're finding out it's going to go to Esau right now. But this is where we see in this chapter where Jacob, who is the younger, he comes in and he takes hold of it. And he's going to take the blessing. And so now the blessing, which is, like I said, the blessing is that they're going to inhabit the land. They're going to be kings of nations, and they're going to inherit the land around them here in Canaan. It's going to be their land. And so that's the blessing that he's about to take over here. But Esau knows that these blessings are serious, at least, and so I'm sure that the whole when he sold his birthright, it doesn't really talk about the fallout, but there was probably some fallout afterwards about Esau despising his birthright, and somebody who knows, Jacob probably told his parents what had happened, and Abraham may have been like, what are you doing? Don't despise your birthright, that comes from God. And so that's the whole thing, is they're not really taking his words entirely too seriously, is the problem. But so Esau goes and does it, right? But of course, here's Rebekah. She heard, she was, she heard him say it. So she was probably in the other tent or close by or something, the other room of the tent, or wherever the case may be. And so uh she goes out to Jacob. So right here, Jacob spake, Rebekah spoke to Jacob, saying, behold, she says, hey, I heard your father is giving your brother the blessing. So she goes, I already know what you got to do. So she already has it. So she already has in her mind, she was been told by God that that the younger one, being Jacob, would be stronger, and ultimately Esau, the older, would serve Jacob. And of course, she herself, if we remember from chapter 26, at those last two verses of chapter 26, basically Esau took some Hittites for his wife. You see where he took his Hittites, and of course this was a grief of mine. So she was acting just like he was acting just like all the other men around them. These Philistines, these people out there, the Hittites, and Rebekah and Isaac recognized that these people were still, a bunch of trouble compared to what God was teaching them how to live. The way God was teaching them how to live, and these other people were probably closer to acting like the people out in Sodom and Gomorrah, more than likely. They were just running around taking women, killing men. Apparently, that's what they were doing. And so let's see. So Rebecca obviously knows what, she's been told by God what's going to happen. She probably heard about the whole birthright despisement. She probably realizes that overall Esau's kind of not a good son, or he's not as good a son as Jacob is over here. Like the way he is. Whereas, that's just the case. She thinks that Jacob should just get it. Jacob, clearly, that's in her mind. Whatever's about to come as the firstborn from Isaac, she's saying, what, Jacob deserves it in her mind, not Esau. Jacob does. So that's why she tells them, they come up with like it says, they conspire. The two of them conspire to obtain Isaac's blessings. So they conspire. Here they are conspiring. What ends up happening is that Rebecca sends Isaac to go get him some venison. So let me see, bring me venison and make me savory meat. So he does the same thing for some reason. Bring me venison and make me savory meat. That's what her. Oh no, that's what he said. Now, therefore, that's why. Okay, so he told him to go get him some like deer or something, like a deer, but she sends him to go out to the flock and get a couple of goats. So you see that she gets, go get two good kids of the goats. So that's what he does. He goes and gets goats and cooks up the goats instead. And thou shalt bring it to that fire. So I find it interesting that they get two good kids. I don't know how much a guy can eat of a goat, but I would think that if you got one goat, I mean, that'd probably be enough for me, I would imagine. But this guy needed two good kids. So this guy needed two goats to, she needed two goats to make as much meat as they were going to get. So I don't really know how much meat comes from a goat, or if Abraham himself was one of the big giant dudes already, but I don't really know. He was eating two goats as an old man. So he goes out there, let's see, that he made, and so she tells him, let's go get those and cook those. And so Jacob does it. But then, of course, Jacob starts complaining because he's like, I don't know, Mom. It seems a little sketchy. Like, Esau's a hairy guy and I'm a real smooth guy. Like, he's got a lot of hair and I don't. So we're kind of very different looking. So they're very different looking apparently. At least for being twins. For being twins, these are a little bit not quite the same. And he goes, "What if he feels me and I shall seem to him?" And so he's like, he's gonna notice that I'm not Esau, and instead of blessing me, he's gonna curse me. So he's really afraid. You could tell like he's like, I don't know, mom, this doesn't seem like the right thing to do, or it doesn't seem like a good idea, but she's all like, don't worry about it. Like, if anything bad happens, upon me be thy curse, my son. Just do it. I don't care. You don't, so she's got some control over here. She's got some, no, I don't care. Like, she's all, no, God told me. She knows. She needs it. She knows what's supposed to happen. And so she knows he's supposed to get the blessing anyway. So she alleviates all his fear, saying, if your dad gets mad, I'll tell him it was me. I'll tell him what we did. I'll tell him it was me that did this. Basically that's what she's saying. Don't worry about it. Just go listen to me and go fetch me them. So he goes, just go do it. And so he goes, she brings the goats, she cooks them, and she took goodly raiment of her. So she takes good, clothes, raiment of her eldest son Esau, which were in the house. So basically, she gets some clothes, some of Esau's clothing, and puts them on Jacob. So, and then then she put the skins of the coats upon his hands and upon the smooth of his neck. So then again, maybe he wasn't eating two goats. Maybe she needed all that skin instead, is what really is going on. So she put all the skin, so it's like this hairy goat skin. Uh, and I don't really know. Again, I'm not familiar with these animals to know how hairy they are and how hairy this guy must have been, if that's how hairy it would have been on this guy. So anyway, he gets some skins, puts it on his hands and the smooth of his neck. So she puts it kind of all over him, so that if this guy feels him, so if Isaac feels him, because he says he's going pretty blind already, and if he feels him, at least he'll think that he's the other guy, he's Esau. So we keep going down here, and what do we come across more? We find that she makes it, and Jacob takes it, and he goes, and it's a moment of truth. He goes into the father's tent and says, "Here you go," and he goes, "Who's?" He comes into his father and said, "My father," and dad says, "Who am I?" He goes, "Who are you?" And he goes, "It's me. It's Esau. I've done what you told me. Whatever you told me, I went out and did it. I got you some venison so that you can bless me." And that's why Isaac's already. How did you find it? It must have happened pretty quickly. Esau's still out in the field hunting. Maybe he was expecting it to take all day, or be something that he did in the morning, and he wouldn't be getting it until dinner. And here it is at lunchtime, perhaps. So he's wondering, how'd you get it so quickly? And Isaac just says, because the Lord thy God brought it to me. Just comes up with a good excuse. And Isaac said unto Jacob, "Come here, because there's something strange about you." And so he feels him, so he can't see him, so he's like one of those blind guys, like, come over here so I can feel you or whatever. So that's what he does. And he says, well, I guess, you feel like, it says the voice is Jacob's voice, but the hands are the hands of Esau. So he's like, he notices that this seemed like you might be Jacob, but you feel like Esau. Everything about you seems like, other than your voice, I guess I'm just old. So that's just what he does. He says, fine, I guess you're Esau. You sound a little bit different than just earlier today, but and he says, "Are you sure you're my son Esau?" So he's really like, "Are you sure? Like, something's going on?" And Isaac's just kept up the ruse. He said, "Yeah, I'm Esau." And so he said, "All right." So he eats it, and he says he eats it right here, and he brought it near to him, and he did eat, and he brought him wine, and he drank, and then of course he says, "Come near," so now and he kisses him, and he says, and he even smells. He smells like Esau, because he's wearing his clothes, and so he says, and see, and he goes, "Yep, there it is. That you got to be Esau. You're definitely Esau, as far as I'm concerned." So he goes, "Therefore God gives." So here's the blessing. So this is the blessing that keep in mind, remember that the blessing that Noah gave out and the cursing that he gave out to his own sons, I mean, God held him to it. So that would have been something that, like I said, we would have probably known that at a certain point, um, Shem, it looks like, based off the numbers that I came up with, it looks like Shem actually may have outlived Abraham. And so he would have actually like kind of lived into Isaac's life. So there's no telling when or where, what God exactly came across and told him, because we see this and what God, figured was important enough to mention to us of what he said. For example, when he came in Genesis 26 and he makes that appearance, that's important enough for God to tell us what he told to Isaac, because he came to Isaac and told him, I'm with you and I will bless you, and unto you and your seed, I will give all these countries. So that was something important enough that God mentions to us. Like, that's something I told Isaac. Well, God would have also probably maybe had many encounters with him, had many, many more encounters. And he probably could have potentially met Shem. Isaac could have potentially met Shem. Maybe even Abraham met Shem, even perhaps later in their lives, and kind of found out, oh, you guys are my great, 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 great grandchildren. And I saw all you guys die in front of me. And it's, guys, because we used to live 900 years old. Now you guys only live 100 years old. And he might have explained to him. And back when I was, back when I was out at the flood, your dad, Noah, cursed us. He cursed your brother. He cursed the Canaanites. And he blessed Japheth and Shem. So, and here we are seeing that it is definitely played out that way. These Canaanites are dwelling in Shem's tents, um, or are servants to Shem, and Japheth is dwelling in Shem's tents. So it would have definitely been something that they knew that God was keeping he was keeping their blessings and their cursings and making them reality. So what they were saying was really important because God was making it come to pass. And so that's why this is a really important. Here he is, he's going to bless them. So the blessing is, therefore God give thee of the dew of heaven and the fatness of the earth and plenty of corn and wine. Let people serve thee and nations bow down to thee. Be Lord over thy brethren, and let thy mother's sons bow down to thee. Cursed be everyone that curseth thee, and blessed be he that blesseth thee. And so that's what the blessing was. This was something that he said it, and he was a man of God, and he was saying it to his son as an inheritance from God. And this was something that God was going to make happen. And what was it? He's going to make you're going to get all the dew of heaven, basically all the good stuff God give thee. This is the dew of heaven we're going to see is something that comes later on when it comes to Moses and them while they're out in the desert during the Exodus or after the Exodus. And then they get stuck in Sinai for 40 years. Well, they're going to be eating of that dew of heaven, which is what we're going to hear it called manna later on. But that's what, therefore, so he's already right there. The dew of the heaven, that's something that's going to be prophetic. And the fatness of the earth, meaning like you're gonna be able to plant and whatever you plant, and whatever you go for when you go looking into the earth, you're going to get a lot of it. And that's why it says, "And plenty of corn and wine." So that's what that is, plenty of corn and wine. So that's what he is blessing Isaac with. He thinking it's Esau. He's blessing Jacob, thinking it's Esau. And this is Isaac doing the blessing. And then also he tells him, let people serve you and nations bow down to you. And here's the big one. Let and be Lord over your brethren and let your mother's sons bow down to you. That's the big one, because this basically fulfills what God had told Rebekah. And he had told Rebekah that the older shall serve the younger. And here it is. Isaac himself is bestowing, and this is something that God had ordained, that it should be Jacob. And this is how they went about doing it. The humans did it. As soon as it was time, it was Rebekah that knew what was supposed to happen. Rebekah knew that this was supposed to happen because she knew that whatever this blessing was going to be, it was going to be important, and it should go to Jacob and not Esau. And that this was the important one, is that your all your mother's sons are going to bow down to you. You're going to be king over all your nation, your fellow brother nations. And then he said, just cursed be everyone that curses you, and blessed everyone that blesses you. So that's the other one. Anyone that curses you is going to actually be cursed, but anyone that blesses you is going to be blessed. And so that's why it came to pass that, as soon as Isaac had made an end of blessing Jacob, and Jacob was yet scarce gone out from the presence of Isaac his father, that Esau his brother came in from his hunting. So basically, as soon as his blessing comes, I mean, Jacob was like, whoa, wow, that's a big blessing. He takes off, who knows? He could have just booked it, just left as soon as he could, trying not to get, caught out. He really didn't want to get caught out. It was something his mother told him to do. He may not have had the greatest feeling about it, but he did it anyway because his mom told him to do it. And that's how it happened. And we're going to see that little moment, these little moments are extremely important in God's eyes. And that's why that's why we're told later on that we're not supposed to be, being idle talk. We're not supposed to say things we're not going to do. Whatever we do should become a reality, because if it doesn't, that makes us just kind of evil people. We're not even, we can't do what we say we do. And that's a lie. And, it's far from perfection. Perfection is you say it, it happens. And that's what these guys are trying. God is making them perfect. And so he said it, and it's going to happen. And he said it to Jacob. So let's see. So he comes in, and so here comes Esau, and he says, "Hey, Dad, here I am. I got what you wanted." And Isaac's again, like I said, here's that repetition, like that. Like, wait a minute, what? He says, "Who are you?" And he goes, "It's me. It's Esau. I'm here." And Isaac starts trembling, like I said, it's scary. Like, what? And he's like, who's here that somebody just brought me some some venison, and he already came and I already blessed him. And then he's the shock, just like it's shocking, like someone else is just in here and I just blessed him. Like God is gonna bless that guy over you. So he's real scared now because he blessed somebody over Esau, his own son, to be king over Esau. And so you see, that's what he's so scared about, is that he doesn't know who he blessed to be his brother Esau, his son Esau's king. He doesn't know who he just gave this kingship to. It's like having the keys to a Lamborghini and giving your keys to somebody thinking that it's your son, and you're like, I don't know who I just gave that car to, So that's what's going on here. And so Esau heard of this. He cried. He was mad. He was sad. He said, "Oh, bless me, even also me, oh my father." And so this blessing too. And he said, "Thy brother came." So now he's realizing who it was. It was Jacob. He says, "I knew it was Jacob." He realized that. That's what Jacob came in here with subtlety and he took away your blessing. Oh, I knew it was Jacob. Why would Jacob do that? He's kind of wondering. And so that's why he said, "Is he not rightly named Jacob?" And so this is Esau. For he had supplanted me these 2 times. He took away my birthright, and behold, now he had taken away my blessing. And so now you see again, once we're seeing that, even though at the end of this all, we're seeing Esau acting like a victim again. He took away my birthright, like as if there was, because at the end of the day, let's think about it. Like I said, even though I just said that about perfection, saying that if you say something, it should happen. That's what being perfect is. We have to realize, of course, we're not perfect. And so this guy is the same guy that clearly didn't even care about his birthright. It was just words as far as he was concerned. He was probably making jokes and talking idly. He was becoming like these other guys out in the land of Canaan. He was just talking. He was making jokes. He was like, "Oh, brother, I'm hungry. Give me some of that soup you're making over there." And Jacob says, "Well, sell me your birthright." And Esau's, a birthright? Man, I'm hungry. I'm going to die over here. Why don't you just give me something? And he says, don't sell me your birthright. It's a joke, isn't it? That's how Jacob was saying. It's just a little birthright. It's just some words. And so Esau said, fine, I'll sell you my birthright. Just give me some of that food. And then so like I said, it would have probably been just some of this idle talk. And so he's the same guy. He's acting like a victim now when he was the one talking idly. He was the one that clearly he didn't take it serious. He didn't seem like he was taking it as serious as Jacob was. Jacob was taking it much more serious, that it was a thing that he wanted. Esau didn't even, he despised it. He didn't even care about it. And now he's like saying, well, now you're taking away my blessing. Now, what was the blessing? The blessing's probably going to be that he's king over me, isn't it? He probably already knew what was coming his way, or what he thought was coming his way. So Isaac tells him, like, I made him Lord. So he tells him right here, I made him your Lord, and all his brethren have I given to him for servants. So you're going to be servants for him. And with corn and wine have I sustained him. So I know some people will turn this also into like the idea that he gave him all his stuff. Like, he could have potentially given him something that, stood as his seal or something. He could have given him something, that his symbol, that now Isaac can go out there and use this symbol and say, oh, I'm the firstborn of Isaac, or Jacob could say this, I'm Isaac's firstborn. I get to have this and that, all his stuff, all these buildings. You guys got all this corn. You guys all have this wine. That's all mine now because I got this little medallion, or this little stick, or whatever the case may have been. But I'm saying, based off of this, it's based off of the words, and this is something that is even more important. Not all the things. It was the words, that because they had seen God and they had heard God and they had known who God was. God had revealed himself to them on occasion. And that's why this was so important. The words, that they knew that their words were going to come true. And so Esau at this point, probably, like I said, he did, maybe after the birthright situation, he was probably a little bit more serious about it. And then now that he stole the blessing, he may not have necessarily known what the blessing was about. And you're going to see it later too, where, but he does get upset about it. And now this is something that he's mad about this time in life. He wasn't so mad about the birthright. Now he's a little bit more mad about this blessing, because Jacob is going to be his leader. He's going to be his king. He's going to be so Esau and his family is going to have to be servants to Jacob and his family when the time comes. That's what we're seeing. At least, their seed will. And so Esau said unto his father, he wants a blessing anyway. And so then that's why Isaac gives him a blessing too. And so you got to wonder where this blessing is coming from, because he's like at a loss as what to say. Because whatever it's coming from God. And that's another thing. So he's probably thinking and trying to, like, asking God, praying right there. And he comes up with the, like, well, this is all that God is saying. And all he's saying is, behold, thy dwelling shall be the fatness of the earth, and of the dew of heaven from above, and by thy sword shalt thou live, and shalt serve thy brother. And it shall come to pass, when thou shalt have the dominion, that thou shalt break his yoke from off thy neck. And Esau hated Jacob because of the blessing. So you see, this blessing is this, saying that, look, you're gonna still live in the fatness of the earth. You're still gonna live and have a good. It's not gonna be hard for you to live. The ground will bless you. Whereas it was normally cursed, or where it was cursed, it's going to bless you, and you're going to have the fatness of the earth. And he goes, and also you're going to also share in this dew of the heaven, just like was given to Jacob. You're going to have that, the fatness of the earth, and you're going to have that dew of heaven. So you're going to get to share in that, which is that, like, God's going to bless you for all your food and all your ground, all your farming, all that stuff. You're going to, all your livestock, that's all going to be taken care of. And you're also going to get to share in the dew of heaven, which is probably going to be that manna. And then he goes, and by thy sword shalt thou live, and shalt serve thy brother. And he says, and with your sword, you're going to live by the sword, though. You're going to be like a warrior, because you're going to serve your brother. So you're going to live by the sword. You're going to be strong and powerful. And you're going to You're going to be warriors. And then eventually you guys will be strong enough and you will break free from you'll break the yoke from off the neck. So you won't serve your brother forever. You will break free when you get tired, when you eventually gets the time, when the servitude becomes too much, and you're going to break free of it. And it was still like a good blessing. You're still gonna get blessed really well, and you're gonna serve, and you're gonna be real powerful by your sword. You're gonna be, but and then you're also gonna not be his servant forever. Eventually you'll break free of his neck, but nonetheless, it was something that really, really hurt Esau's probably pride more than anything at this point. Now he's really saying, well, basically, you're not going to be the king, but you're going to be, generals and so forth. You're going to be real military wise. You're going to be some of the higher, people in this kingdom that is going to come. But of course, Esau starts, it hurts his feelings so much, and he gets so upset about the whole thing that he just goes out and starts talking about it. More of this idle talk, because we do find out later that, it never comes to pass, but he is right here angry enough to kill his brother. So we're really seeing that kind of a return to Cain and Abel situation. You could see how evil these people can get outside of, and so that's why Rebecca over here, hears about it. He's, Esau's over there talking about, I'm gonna kill Jacob. Oh, when my dad dies, I'm gonna kill Jacob. That's what he's basically saying, and he's saying it enough. And wherever he's at with that, whoever he's at, and whoever he's talking to, he's saying it enough that Rebecca hears about it, and she knows what's going on. She's part of the whole situation. Um, and she calls Jacob and says, Esau's so mad about this that he's thinking about killing you. He keeps talking about killing you. She goes, so don't stay around here. Go back to Iran, where I'm from, and go to Laban, my brother, and go to his house, and and tarry with him for a while, and stay with him for a while until this whole thing with Esau blows over. Maybe he'll get over it in time. So go over to Iran and stay over there for a little while, is what she's telling him after this whole situation. And that's what it says, until thy brother's anger turn away from thee, and he forget that which thou hast done to him. Then when that happens, when he's kind of over it, I'll send for you, and I'll call you from thence. And so she's recognizing this whole, like I said, the whole Cain and Abel situation. She's really doing a much better job than what Eve may have done. And she's separating these two boys. She's sending one away. So so that, why should she be deprived also of you? Because if one kid, she doesn't want to be like I said, she could potentially lose two kids because one would kill the other, and the one that kills, if Esau killed Jacob, then Esau's not part of the family anymore either. You can't really, you're suddenly an enemy if you do that. You're not a family member. If you kill a family member, you're an enemy of the family. So that's the case here. And Rebecca, I'm weary. So Rebecca talks to Isaac after this whole thing, and she says, I'm going to send Jacob away. And this is her excuse and her reasoning is because I don't want her to marry one of these Hittites, one of these daughters of Heth, because if he takes a daughter of Heth like these, what good will my life do me? I'll have messed up my life. We already lost, Esau's just like these people because he's married these women. I don't want Jacob to be like that either, is what she says. So send him away. I'm gonna send him away, and that's what chapter 27. That's chapter 27 right there, and yeah, it's an interesting chapter. Isaac's already kind of gotten old. We don't have too many chapters about Isaac compared to, say, Abraham, I feel like. But it kind of just jumps over his life real quick, only talks about one real big experience when he has that back in chapter 25, when I went over chapter 25, where he goes through it with Abimelech. But we do see that God was making appearances in his life, and they were still keeping the promise here, and they were still concerned about this prophecy that was coming into place, and they were, Jacob in particular was real, adamant about receiving it, and he was excited about it, and thinking about it, and he was the kind of guy that Jacob wanted it seems like, and his mother wanted it for him too. And they believed in this promise that was given to them by this God that had come to at least Jacob, and even to Rebekah. Rebekah had spoken, and she had inquired of the Lord as well. So it's not like they didn't have faith in their God. They did have faith, and whatever he said and whatever he had told them and whatever additional information they were given outside of the Bible during their own lifetimes, I mean, they believed it, and they were waiting for it, and they were looking for it, and they were keeping the covenant. They were still circumcising, and that's what we're seeing in this here chapter was chapter 27. We just saw they were fighting over a blessing, which was basically just a word. And some people want, like I said, some people want to think that it was like something like physical, so that he had like a medallion, for example, that said, hey, I got this medallion. And all the other people say, oh, you got the medallion of Isaac, the medallion of Abraham. So all these sheep over here belong to you, apparently. All this storage of corn belongs to you, so forth. But really, I'm saying, based off of the interpretation, it's just a word. It was just a blessing that came out of his mouth. But these guys they weren't typical men that we might know today. Because people today now, they talk and they talk. They think comedy is something worthy of to be. Everybody's a comedian, everybody's joker, everybody's joking. People say things all the time that they don't mean, just for the sake of saying it, just for the sake of hearing themselves. These guys weren't like that. These guys were, I mean, military men. They were builders, or they were at least farmers and ranchers, and they were also warriors. Abraham was training them, so who knows what kind of incidents were going on? If guys back then were just taking men were just taking women and killing men, just all over the place. I'm sure there was many incidents where security issues where Abraham or Isaac's men, or Isaac, the camp had probably military guys guarding the encampment and having to repel off any kinds of little bands of thugs, or murderers, or robbers that may have happened. But these weren't like us, like people today. They weren't just saying things for the sake of saying them, and because they knew that God was fulfilling their blessings and fulfilling their curses, and they knew it was something important. And especially Jacob here. Jacob was realizing how important it was, much more than Esau was. But I'll go ahead and end it here. So if you're watching this, please like the video and subscribe to the channel. God bless you, and I pray that we all bless Jesus Christ, and may Jesus Christ bless all of us. Amen.